All right, guys, welcome back to the Smoking Business Podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Robinson. I'm here today with a special guest. Man, somebody I've known for quite some time in this thing, man.
Brother,
OG
yeah,
in the space. My guy. I'm going to let you introduce yourself in a second, brother. But Tahir Johnson, man, what's going on, brother?
Not too much, my brother. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, appreciate
Happy to be up here with you.
Listen, man, appreciate you taking the time out of your day, man. I know you're busy as hell these days.
For sure.
Before I get into anything, man, I always like to let the guests kind of introduce themselves because I want you to get your shit off. I want you to tell the people who you are, what you mean to this industry, and just how you got to this point, and then we'll jump right into the interview, brother.
For sure, absolutely, and thank you, brother. As my man Brendan said, my name is Tahir Johnson. I'm the founder and CEO of Simply Pure Trenton. We're an adult use cannabis dispensary in my hometown, Ewing, New Jersey, which is a suburb just outside of Trenton. And we're just open, just crossed the 30-day mark of being open, so that's been amazing. In addition to having a dispensary, we're a couple other hats. I'm also the president of the Minority Cannabis Business Association. I've spent years in advocacy prior to this. Although I came up out of MCBA, I've worked with a number of different cannabis advocacy organizations: Marijuana Policy Project, U.S. Cannabis Council, National Cannabis Industry Association. I love what I do. I love weed. I started out in the industry as a bud tender. Quit my previous job in finance. I was at Morgan Stanley, SunTrust Investments in the finance world. And took the jump back in 2018, got into the industry, and it's been all the grind to get here from there, man. So, long game to finally get to open my store, but it's been a blessing, man. It's been dope. And came back home after 20 some years to do this. So it's been a labor of love and all for the culture, and get to inspire my people, link up with good brothers like Brendan, my guy Darren that just left here, man. For me, I love the opportunity for us to get to collab and be able to do stuff together with black-owned business. My brand, Simply Pure Trenton, we're a licensee of the original Simply Pure, which is in Denver, founded by my homegirl, like my big sister, Wanda James. She's the first black-owned legal dispensary in the country. And again, man, do a lot of stuff, but here today. I'm sure we'll talk about it all.
We're gonna talk about it all, man. We're gonna talk about it all, and it's a lot to talk about, brother. So I want to start there.
Hold the mics.
Oh shit, yeah, right.
Okay, these mics.
Yeah, they're not on.
Got
But make it look like it. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, cool. Bro, we're gonna talk about it all, man. It's a lot to talk about. I want to start by just giving you your flowers, man, and just tell you something. You and I kind of talked about off mic a little bit, but when I first came in this industry, bro, you were one of the first people I saw that looked like me, that was a young black man with a corporate background in cannabis, doing the damn thing, right?
Yeah.
Like still giving it up in a professional way, where it makes sense why he's where he is, but still being yourself and having a good time and being cultural and so much, bro. I can't tell you enough how much that inspired me when I first came in. Like, okay, if he could do it, I could do it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it needs to be more of that
in
this industry. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate you for that, man.
Thank you, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll say that, starting out, that was always my goal and my vision, because I think I noticed from the beginning that I think that wasn't necessarily a lane in the story that was being told. I think we have a lot of folks, normally when we assume, when we talk about social equity, people tend to think of people that are coming right out of the trap or something like that, right? But somebody there's many people that may have come from that background, but I was blessed to have the opportunity to go to college, go to Howard University, have a career in banking and finance, and be able to have that, be my way to transition into the game. And I noticed, I was going all over the country, going to these conferences and be the only black person there. So I thought it would be really important to always have my identity and show that I could be this. And bro, I remember the first time we talked, all the way back then, man. And knowing, seeing you and be like, yo, these brothers are gonna make it, because again, it's not just automatically having that background, but it's about y'all were super active in everything, the advocacy, coming out as you were learning the game, sharing the information with your community, right? Minority Cannabis Academy, that's significant. But then even taking your time, not even just jumping out there, transitioning to starting a business, right? Like the way you went about it very strategically. You know, flowers back to you, brother. You
sure,
know,
bro. Appreciate you, man.
You know, because we gotta all like stick together. Like I remember, like it was like me and you, like the two young people that I remember meeting. And I say young, not even younger, because you're not much older than y'all. But you and Precious, man.
Okay.
Like you know, both of
Shout
y'all
out to
like
P.
coming up like about the same time.
For sure.
And look at what y'all are doing now, man. You know, so
man.
it's even for me. I had a lot of people, like people in the game that I looked at that, you know, were the same, like just opened me up with open arms.
We'll talk.
And that's how I got to get here. So it's all about us sharing that information and continuing the cycle, bro.
For sure.
Because now I'm sure, look how many people the same way have seen you and what you've done and you inspire them. It's that each one teach one. It is that's what we got to do for our culture, right? We got to inspire, because if we don't do it, then damn sure nobody else is going to do it,
sure.
you know?
Bro, I couldn't agree more, man. And just going back to that, the one thing that glued me to you immediately was that you had a finance background.
Yep.
I'm someone that worked in banking my whole life. It's all I knew before cannabis. I finished my career as a business banking market director for Santander. So I was running the whole New Jersey, doing my thing. And I took a lot of those principles and things that I was doing from that industry and brought it to cannabis.
Absolutely.
And it was critical to, I think, how fast we were able to kind of launch. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Just in the way I planned meetings, to the strategy for the next, 30, 60, 90 days. Like, and I always wanted to ask you, like, how did your experience, number one, in banking go?
Right.
Number two, how did you leverage that in your transition to cannabis?
Right. So one of them, I would say, definitely the structure and the way you approach business. The biggest one that I think I see now, that that's really just finally coming in handy is like customer service, that customer service model that you have to build in banking.
For sure.
And it's, as having been a branch manager in banking, it's not just the customer service, but employee engagement at the same time.
The culture, yep.
Like how do you engage people, build that company culture? I think it's so significant. But the other part for me, having been a financial advisor, like it's an all commission job, right? You had to hustle. It was eat what you kill.
Real talk.
So I was always on the grind for my next deal. Like you close $1 million a day, you still got to figure out how you're going to get another $1 million on the board.
For sure,
So
for sure.
I think it's that type of hustle mentality of having to get money, but then also speaking the language of money fluently, right? Like having had a Series 7, understanding investments,
For sure.
having raised money, having managed many other people's money and gotten money, it made me a lot more confident and be able to have conversations definitely a different way as it was time to raise capital.
Absolutely.
But, I would say that those are really a lot of it, like the marketing, the hustle, the structure, like all of that stuff comes into play for sure.
I mean, you touched on two really important topics, right? I think in any business, let alone the cannabis business, where you're trying to separate yourself or differentiate yourself from your competitors, I call it CSAT, the customer service.
Yeah.
Right? And then that hustler mentality, I think they're so critical, right? The CSAT piece, I think about like when I go to Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
Chick-fil-A treat me better than my goddamn family sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But when you go in certain dispensaries, it feels like you're home.
Yep.
It feels like you're welcome. It feels like they want you there, right?
Yep.
They greet me when I walk in. They're smiling, so on and so forth. The energy I get from your bud tenders is top notch.
Yeah.
Is that something you're enforcing? Is that something you're looking for during the hiring process? Like, how important is that to you?
Yeah, so part of it is training, right?
Okay.
So we had a lot of opportunity to do training. Or the process to open up took a little longer than expected. So my team actually had a whole month of like training, like going through these different drills, getting to know every brand. So one, knowing the product and really being confident about it was
For sure.
significant. But like you said, that stuff from banking, use customers' name, do things right the first time, have empathy, like actually getting up, like you said, Nordstrom, we wanted to feel high class, like you're getting up, like, assisting the customer. We're not just going to point to the kiosk and say, go ahead, help
For sure.
yourself, right? Like it's that white glove service, especially having been in wealth management and dealing with high net worth clients. It's always about that experience, no matter where we are, even if we're in the hood.
Absolutely.
We want to make a person feel like, that they're in the top place, like they're in somewhere VIP.
Absolutely.
Right? Like somebody, like I've had somebody come in there like, dang, this feels like a club. Like I feel like I should be paying to get in here. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. But also where they, again, I love reading the Google reviews and the things that people, I read every single one, reply to everyone personally. And the things that people say about the experience. Like one I read today, they said that like the place had a beautiful spirit and they could tell every person loved working there.
Man.
And talked about how much their cannabis advisor, how much time and patience they took to recommend products. And, like seeing that, it means like, and you know that people that come in can feel the culture of what you're trying to
Real
build.
talk.
Like that's the biggest thing. And I believe like that good customer service leads with treating your people good and
sure.
having that culture.
It's a win-win too, right? Because you get that great feeling of knowing I helped someone today.
Yep.
And also you're going to get more sales and more productivity out of that type of approach, right? Now, I think you're spot on, man. But I want to dig more into Simply Pure and just what you guys got going on. But before we get there, I want to kind of talk about the journey to Simply Pure.
Sure thing.
Right? So you go from working in finance. How do you go from your last day at your finance job to your first day opening Simply Pure and cutting the ribbon? Like,
so it's interesting. My cannabis career and my finance career overlapped. In the beginning, I was actually still working as a financial advisor full-time at SunTrust, and I was working part-time as a dispensary at a bud tender.
Okay.
As a bud tender. It came that time of year. Well, for one, my job at SunTrust has just started becoming very stressful. And at the same time, I had started learning about the dispensary, about the cannabis industry in general. Like my pops had fibromyalgia, and that was when I started really researching, learning more about medical cannabis. And as I was doing that, a couple things happened. First, I read to talk about people that inspired you. I read about Hope Wiseman, came across her story.
Okay.
Also came from finance. She was an investment banker at SunTrust, so we had those connections. And she was in the DMV where I lived at in Prince George's County.
Okay.
So heard her story, read about it, and started working part-time at the dispensary. And then every day it got harder and harder to go to the finance job. But long story short, it came time for me to file my outside business activities, and I had to make a choice.
Oh,
so
man.
it was like, well, cannabis is federally illegal. So there was no way in the world I could have continued to work there and, kept pursuing my passion. So
For sure.
I made the choice and let the six-figure job go.
Man.
Took the $15 an hour job as a bud tender. And that really started me on my journey. I applied for licenses in Maryland in 2019 and in Jersey in 2019, not really knowing how difficult this was. I just knew I was going to get one of those licenses. So
For sure.
I applied in 2019 and didn't win. And, I'm not going to give up. So I was still working as a bud tender. And I'll say, again, the other thing that came from finance is that networking, right? Networking, knowing how to meet people, know how to introduce yourself, how to get in where you fit in, tell
sure.
people what you do. I was at MCBA's lobby day, and again, I didn't know anything about politics, anything at the time. And but the job at a lobby day, and this is something I definitely recommend everybody do, especially if you're in cannabis, to understand and learn policy. But I was at the lobby day, and I was looking at all the different members of Congress's names of people we were supposed to talk to, and I see one of the sheets of paper, and I'm like, oh, one of my boys' chief of staff for this congressman, should I hit him up? And everybody's like, what? So it's not normal. Like you must see like young dudes, young black dudes, especially just being able to say something like that.
For sure.
So long story short, going to the office, people probably thought I was capping. Going there, asked for him. The person at the desk said he wasn't there. I was like, well, tell him Tahir Johnson stopped by. Somehow he heard me out the back office.
Oh,
Yo,
wow.
bro, what's good? Dapped me up, and people seeing that. I think that was like my first introduction to the industry, like
For sure.
overall, because these lobby days, all different types of people are there. And I parlayed that into getting my job at NCIA.
Okay.
And there I started the social equity program. And I'll say that is really where I really got to really start learning, not learning, but really making an impact in social equity. When I started the program there, we had 150 social equity applicants, and I gave free membership to the organization.
Oh, wow.
And that helped to, get a lot of people resources, introduce people to contacts, learning about the industry. And, that was really a blessing to get to do that. And, continue working in advocacy. After I left NCIA, I went to MPP and U.S. Cannabis Council.
Okay.
And that was really a level up as well, because that's where I got to be hands-on in policy, having to really help, really draft, making recommendations about what would be in these different bills and different things at a state and a federal level, and advising a lot of these different companies about how they can go back and give resources, how they can achieve their goals, how they can, and I know that's when we met, right?
100%.
Like they need to recognize these, if y'all really want to do this, you need to meet these brothers, minorities, Cannabis Academy. These are the things y'all need to support, right?
Sure.
So being able to come from doing that all this time, working towards when seeing Jersey legalize it, that's when I knew this was the opportunity, and I had to take the chance again to get back in.
For sure.
And Simply Pure for me was a natural decision because, for one, Wanda was the homie,
Okay.
and not just this idea of black collaboration. Rather than start my own brand, I loved having the opportunity to like take the legacy of that first black legal dispensary and bring it back here.
For sure.
And so, approached her about it. I knew that she already wanted to build this model, like a franchise model, and work with other people. So, hit her up about it, and the rest is history, man.
Yeah.
We were able to finally get here 2.5 years later through all the grind or whatever to finally open, man.
Man, what I love the most about your story, bro, is that it was just you just having sheer, utter confidence in yourself.
Yeah, bro. And it wasn't though just guaranteed. None of I think a lot of people see like a lot of the success stuff, but none of this stuff was ever guaranteed. Every little thing was like a grind or taking the L to get back.
For
a
sure.
lot of points where you could plateau and that you stop there. And a lot of people you see how many people I'm sure you've seen come and go over the years and being in this, but you always got to reinvent yourself. You got to always stay hungry. When you get an accomplishment, you got to be ready for the next one, right?
For sure.
Like when I was at NCIA, I actually, because it was like the economy was changing, COVID, all that stuff. I lost that job. You know what I mean? That could have been the end right there.
Real talk. Real talk. Real talk.
You know what I'm saying? When I didn't get the license the first time, that could have been the end right there.
Real
You know
talk.
what I mean? But so you just got to always keep coming back. It's a long game, man. It's a long game.
It's funny, right? I tell people like, when you win in cannabis, it's not a Super Bowl, it's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Treat it as such. You know what I'm saying? You
Absolutely.
can celebrate, but it's only a couple seconds.
Absolutely.
You gotta get right back on that path.
Absolutely.
Man.
Opening the store, that's like that's making it to the playoffs.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not the Super Bowl.
You feel me? You in the game now. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you bring that up because I kind of want to really start to get kind of deep into the conversation there. I was at your grand opening.
Mm-hmm.
I saw your speech. You had a lot of emotion. You were excited.
Yeah.
I saw the pain coming out of you. I saw the joy. I saw someone that felt like they fucking were on top of the fucking hill.
Yeah, man.
And I want you just to tell me what that day felt like leading up to that moment.
Yeah.
And then what it feels like to you today.
Yeah, man. Leading up to that moment, I think one of the biggest things was that I've known that I've been somebody that's inspired so many people in the industry and how important my story is because so many people have come up to me and told me. So I knew how, how much it felt like it was something, not just an accomplishment for me, but for my family, for my community, but for so many people, right?
For sure.
Also at the same time, I'll say the burden is heavy, like knowing that you got to have that success, even on the days when you're grinding, where it's tough, where you want to quit, whatever, you got to put on because there's so many people watching, being inspired by you. And even on the days where it would be like, yo, am I going to, it takes 2 years, right? Am I going to have the money to sustain to make it through this? Am I going to actually get to being open, right? Like all of this type of stuff. Even when it was all those challenges, I had to keep going, right? And still make it there. So getting to the finish line to actually open my doors, especially having taken L's, being in this business, you learn a lot. Like you have people that you really fuck with hard. You think they're your partners, your friend, your road dogs. It don't work out. Again, just all the ups and downs that you have to go through to get there. Actually getting the opening day, especially for me, because I've been trying to open a cannabis business for it took me 5 years.
For sure.
Now, right, bro? From that first moment of in the job, trying to do this to actually get in there. So it felt like a big relief. And then to see so many people show up and support. I had so many people from all different stages of my life. People from elementary school to college to industry friends to all of that type of stuff. That really made it worthwhile too.
For sure.
So, all of that, man.
No, man. I mean, again, you could feel it. The love, the joy. I saw your parents there. Had a chance to talk with your dad. And you talk a lot about the ups and the downs and really that perseverance.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Because you're someone, like you said, you were on a 5-year journey to get to that point.
Yep.
But every time I saw you out and about, you're smiling. You know what I'm saying? You're having a good time. But I know behind the scenes, you're going through it. You know
but
what I'm saying?
I say I really love this shit, bro. Even having had left a 6-figure job, you know what I'm saying, to jump into to a $15 job to start, I wouldn't change anything for the world.
For sure.
Even the struggles, the hustle. It's to know, again, just also at on the positive side, to be out, imagine being out in another state, you know what I'm saying? And somebody coming up to you, saying how much you inspire them. I've had people meet me and cry, you know what I'm saying?
Real shit.
Saying how much it means. So that in itself to like have that position to be a leader, because I'll say even looking at cannabis, like just the way I was raised and always the way I looked at it, I've always looked at this very much as something like this is the opportunity of our generation, right? Like socioeconomic, like when we say social equity, for me, we're talking about economic justice. We're talking about like something that our people been locked up for, and there was $1 billion industry. That was always it for me.
For sure.
So having the opportunity like to be a black leader, right? Like that we need, like the way the way Malcolm X was, or the way like other black leaders that I've seen like in business, like to do that. That's what I've always loved about it. So even to be able to have an impact, to know that you had an impact on the way legislation has been, like all of these things, bro. It's a very fulfilling thing, and I love weed, bro.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole time, like I have. And since 2019, nothing but cannabis has paid my bills, everything I have done, right? Like I haven't had another job, like even if it was some side money, it was something that came from cannabis, right?
For sure.
And then even like to say, even more of an accomplishment, like the legal cannabis industry, right? Because there's been other stuff before, but to have to really buckle down, even like to be like you're going to be committed and do this, like that's a tough thing too, right? So to have been able to meet so many good people, get so many accolades, like all that stuff, that's the fun part about it, right? Like seeing your name in the newspapers, like all that stuff. It's a beautiful feeling to make my family proud, right? Like you said, my dad is there like just about every day. Like he comes there, like he works there. You know what I mean? He's there helping out, doing all this stuff. My brother's a part owner with me. You know what I'm saying? They're all around. To be doing that with your family and be home, especially after being gone for over 20 years, that puts a smile on my face.
For sure, man. Nah, man, that's real, bro. And I love the fact that you wear that so proudly, man. Like a lot of people shy away from that responsibility.
Yeah.
They want the power, they want the prestige, but they don't want that responsibility of being that person that's going to be that leader, because in cannabis we need it.
Yeah.
Those brackets, for lack of a better term, haven't really been built yet.
Yeah, man.
But to your point, you and I having a conversation, being in the industry, seeing the things we've seen, it's amazing. I think about next weekend with NECAN. We got something like the Social Equity Corner.
Some fire people too, bro.
Fire people, man. Shout out to the Social Equity Corner. Shout out to Air and the Sim for sponsoring it. But when I think about some of these people in the Social Equity Corner, look at them last year in the corner, and look at them this year in the corner, and it's amazing, bro. Like look at yourself. You were there last year. Getting yourself open, building out, going through the trials and tribulations. You're back this year doing the damn thing.
Hell yeah.
We just talked about Darren, who was just here. Primo introduced themselves at NECAN last year.
Yep.
This year, he's one of the more popping dispensaries in the whole state.
Absolutely.
Running Keyport, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you're seeing the evolution of so many people, man. I think it just needs to be highlighted, the amount of energy, effort, and mental toughness that you all got to possess to just get halfway where you are. And I think that you don't get your flowers enough, so I'm giving them to you.
Appreciate that, bro.
Speaking of NECAN, though, I want you to just talk a little bit about, obviously you're going to be in the Social Equity Corner, but you're also going to be on stage for the Social Equity Panel. You're someone that speaks a lot, or has spoken a lot over the years about advocacy, policy, industry. What's it mean for you to just kind of be coming to the NECAN stage in Jersey, your hometown, with the guys, with the crew? Obviously, Cheryl's going to be up there with us, and just getting to talk about social equity unfiltered. Yeah,
man. Well, so first I'll say the model that you guys have built, the way that you guys have come, and I don't know how to say it better, but kind of did a conference takeover, right? It changed the game, right? Because the biggest thing for me was going to all these conferences and not really seeing us there, or maybe if we are there, it's, we're not having the presence like that. Like not only do you go and it's the people on stage are really social equity, not like a couple and not just a few, but a whole, like you said, literally a whole social equity corner, all these booths and the actual swag of it, right? It's like it's our event. So starting there to come to an event, and be a part of something like that, it does hit different because it's like being with the fam, right? Of course, I love going to the other, like the, the other conferences telling my story, but to be with your unit and be with your people, to even know you kick back and we're kicking at the after party, all that after, it's just a different feeling being around your peoples. So I love that. but always the opportunity like to share information because like it's anytime you get to tell your story, if one more person hears about you, one more person is inspired. And you know that's always a great opportunity too.
sure.
And now to build the brand, right? Like last year, you know, we had a table and we're promoting, but it wasn't anywhere where people could actually shop. Now this year, anytime we're promoting Simply Pure, person can actually really go, you know, patronize a dispensary. So
sure.
that's like you said, being open is a whole different ball game.
No, man, and I can't wait to see it because again, it's a total shift from last year, and I'm super excited for it, man. I'm super excited for it. I guess I want to get you out of here soon, but like, hold on, let me start that over. I want to get you out of here soon, but like, what's next for you, bro? I mean, you've done so much, you're doing so much. What's your focus these next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, oh man, next 12 to 18 months is really all about refining our strategy.
For sure.
The one thing that I've learned about business since I've been open is that you have to be nimble, you have to be lean. So really trying to make sure that we can cut expenses at the company and be as lean as we can.
For sure.
But also to not just cutting expenses, but grow revenues. Continue doing different unique things in marketing. You know, it's dope doing different stuff in the state that nobody's done, right? And seeing people want to try to copy the swag. So we're gonna keep coming up with more stuff for y'all to copy.
Shit.
You know what I'm saying? But but you know, in all honesty, like really just get as my team gets, you know, as we get better, we've been together longer.
For sure.
Just keep getting tighter, keep getting better, right? Be like a well-oiled machine, refining our menu, refining our marketing, just being even better community partner, right? Doing more events to really dive in because one of the things that I've loved is like we've been doing things like expungement clinics, voter registration, just finding more ways to engage our community is a big part of what I want to do too. You know, just grow the business, right? Like I do have other licenses. I have the cultivation license and the Class 6 delivery license.
Okay.
But right now, I'm mostly focused on trying to grow the dispensary. But if there is opportunities to, you know, grow those other businesses, we'll be focused on that as well.
Okay.
Another huge part is I'm also now developing my building next door that I'm hoping will be my consumption lounge.
Oh, nice.
Once they're finalized and ready to rock. So that's probably the next most immediate thing that we'll hopefully be doing.
Nice. Now, I love the concept of the consumption lounge. I think anytime you could put like-minded folks together with some weed, you know, some entertainment, it's just going to foster the atmosphere that cannabis was designed to be indulged in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But nah, brother, man, I appreciate you coming out, man. I appreciate your time. How can the people reach you? You know, whether it be on socials, online. How can they find you?
Yeah, man. So y'all can follow me on Instagram. It's simply Tahir. Facebook and LinkedIn is just my government name, Tahir Johnson. On Twitter also, simply Tahir J. But you can follow Simply Pure Trenton. It's at Simply Pure Trenton everywhere. You know, online. You can order right online. You can download the Simply Pure Trenton app. You know, make sure you do that. And holler at your boy, man. Hope to see you come through the store, man. That's the best place to find me. That's where I'm at every day, you know?
Nah, man, appreciate you, bro. You know where to find us, man. At BR's Boardroom, at the Mud Brothers _NJ on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. Like this, subscribe to us. We'll be back for more, but until then, it's smoking business. Peace.
Hey.